Hey everyone, wanted to give you a heads up. Today our conversation is with Andre Paradis. Andre is a relationship coach, and we talk about a lot of things, including sex, and there may be even an F-bomb dropped in there somewhere. I'm not sure, but wanted to give you a heads up so that you can be ready to have that conversation with your kids if you're listening with your kids, or you can listen to it by yourself if you're not. Enjoy, keep an open mind.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we talk to individuals, businesses, and organizations who are taking the lead and whose actions are impacting the well-being of their communities and the world at large.
Relationships. So here he is. We're going to talk about a lot of things. Andre's been studying people his entire life. Over a decade ago, he was compelled to teach his findings and knowledge to the masses, where they kept asking him why things seem to be so hard or confusing when dealing with people, relationships, and life. Since his studies and understandings of relationships dynamics is so vast, Andre's knowledge expands across all types of subjects, such as love relationships with men and women, regardless of gender and or orientation. So hang in there, everybody. Parent, child, married or single, employer, employee, teacher, student. So guys, everything's about relationships, even your relationship with money. So let's have a conversation with Andre and see how we can improve those relationships for the rest of our life. Hi, Andre. Thanks for coming.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. This is interesting,
I am really excited. We've talked a lot. We've known each other for a little while, met in some personal development type situations and some mastermind classes, working
4 years
through
ago.
different things for ourselves.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how you got started here. I know you've done a lot of things in your life. I think people will be surprised about that. So talk about some of that stuff too.
Yeah, I don't know how far you want me to go back, but on some level, I was always a teacher. That sort of was my default at one point. I started my career as a ballroom dancer in high school, just by accident. It was a PE class that was offered, and it turned out that I could copy everything I saw instantly. Like, I don't even know how that's, it was just in there somehow. It was a gift from God. So dancing takes me into, from ballroom into commercial jazz dancing. I moved to Los Angeles and became a commercial trained dancer. With that, you teach all the time, right? Because part of the gig is you work, like I work with some big names. I don't know if you know this. I work with Michael Jackson and Prince and Paula Abdul and Julio Iglesias, a lot of small stars, but I work with the big people as well. So in that business, you travel, you work, you come back, you teach. You travel, you work, you come back, you teach. So when you come back to LA after having done a job with Michael Jackson, it fills up your class, blah, 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 right? So that's the machine.
Okay.
So a teacher within that my whole life, since I was 22. I started teaching at 22. 20, something like that. And then in my class, met my wife. Oops, went up to the student,
I didn't know this part. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she was one of my students. She walked in my class, and it's interesting. I'd been on the road a lot. I actually come back from like a 1.5-year tour. That was amazing, but rock and roll, sex, drugs, the whole thing. That's what you do on the road. And so I was, after that, road trip, I was ready to settle. I was 27. And I'd done enough at that point that I was looking for my girl. Like I was looking for that girl. Like enough of the mess. Let's go for. And I remember my radar was like always looking, right, looking for that girl. Every class that I taught, I was teaching like 16 classes a week. So I was all in different studios and whatever. And she walked in one day, and then like.
I'm gonna back up. So you were consciously aware that you were ready to settle down.
Oh yeah.
That's the number one thing. Consciously aware that you were ready for that.
So my last road trip, my last tour, kind of took me there. I was done being a fool. I was 27. So I'm 3 years from 30. Like, who are you gonna be in the world? Like, and again, that's like I think it's very, very normal part of a male development. I know it is now because I study this stuff. Right before their 30s, most guys go, look, I'm not really going anywhere here. So let me get my stuff together. And so often part of that is settling, with a woman. Like
Okay.
they want to be some kind of like, they want to build something, right before their 30s, most guys want to build something, and
Okay.
relationships are part of that often. Anyway, so that was where I was. Like I just sort of, I'd done all the mess on the road. I had a whole lot of fun, and now it was time to like find my girl. I was that guy inside. I always wanted to find my girl. So now the search was on, and sure enough, she literally just walked in, and I was in the middle. There was 45 girls, like a bunch of beautiful young girls. That was the nature of the business. Me, maybe one other guy. I'm teaching. She walked in, and she was late, so she came from around the room. And I remember thinking through the mirror, like, who's this, right? Like, I don't know her. And I turned around, and it is so weird because it was like instantaneous. Like I'm trying to teach, I'm working, right? I'm leading this class, and my ears got hot, like a 5-year-old that just got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Like I got busted, like overwhelmed completely. My knees got weak. I had to push my assistant in front of me to help me finish class. I was just completely overwhelmed by just seeing her. And I can't explain that to you. It's like, that's her.
Huh.
That's my girl. Now, she had no idea. She was all freaked out. She was a ballerina. She'd never been in a jazz class, so she was completely out of place and late, out of place, like insecure and blah, blah. So she had no sense of that. And I'm on the floor almost.
Right.
Anyway, so.
Okay. So how long did it take after that meeting to did you start your relationship? Where she knew you were in a relationship. You were in a relationship from the beginning, where she actually was in a relationship.
It took 3 months for her to wake up.
Okay. 3 months.
3 months. Well, because she would come, I have 2 classes back to back, and she came to the first class, which was an advanced class, but I was teaching with 3 hours solid. And because the first class didn't fit with her schedule, she was late 10, 15 minutes every time. So I could never talk to her. And by the time that class was over, I would just continue into a next class and she would leave. So gotcha. I never knew anything about her because she came in, I got overwhelmed, and she leave.
And that happened every time? You're overwhelmed?
Like it was interesting because for a while, because I had to work, I had to block her from my site. I had to block her so I could work.
Okay.
And eventually we did this exercise and she was coming directly at me. And like, what are you waiting for? Like, go find out. Like, and from there, literally after class, the second class, I went to the front desk. And it was a young girl working the front desk. And I go, Nikki. I says, that girl with the bangs, the ballerina with the legs like this, that's new girl. And it had been 3 months, but she was relatively new. And she goes, what, like the ballerina, Nancy? I go, I don't know. I think that's right. I go, give me your phone number. She's like, I can't do that. And I literally, I almost grabbed her by the collar. I'm like, I'm not asking. Give me a damn number. And I went around the corner because back in those days, we only had, cell phones were too expensive. So I go to a payphone.
Right.
Call her up. Hi. And I said, this is Andre. And, I just like, I put it somewhere. It was something like I go like I'd like to get to know you, but we never get to hang. You always right. So I said, how about on Friday? This is on Monday. I'll never forget. I said, how about on Friday after class you hang out and then we'll go for a slice of pizza afterwards. Because I don't date like pretending. I don't get dressed up to date. I don't like try to impress you with the restaurant. I just like, this is me. Let's have some pizza. Who the hell are you? Right? Like that's like so pizza. So that's how it went. There's a long story here, but turned out that she had a boyfriend.
Okay. For
4 years. I had no idea. I was devastated. Just the thought of it. I was so caught up in her for months. And the energy that we had together, right? It was in class. That's why I had to block her. And when I finally managed to go and decided I was going to make this happen, because it's ridiculous, she has a boyfriend. So I was just like, okay, well, I kind of made it up. And then 2 weeks later, she calls me at my house. Did the same thing to Nikki, I guess. Got my number. And she says, I want to go take out for coffee. I have this idea for class.
Okay.
But then by then this is ridiculous. I became Mr. Cheesy galore. Like I might have just, I was so flipped out by her, like the cool guy that I think I am, the pizza guy going, hey, who the hell are you, right? She was working at a photography studio in the Hollywood Hills. I ended up, oh my God, Felicia, like it's hysterical. I ended up borrowing a friend of mine's Jaguar to impress her. Like, that's not me.
That's not you? Okay.
I borrowed the Jaguar. I had on the tightest, they were popular at the time, the tightest leather pants in the world. Like, you could see 007, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. Like, it's some kind of like Klingon shirt on, and I pulled up in front of her work in the Jag, which is in mine. We should know that, right? With my shades on, like this. Oh, cheesy. I lost my crap. I really lost it right there. Like, that was like, girl, just send me. Anyway, so on that dinner, lunch date, she has a boyfriend, right? So nothing going on here.
Yeah.
So I'm all nervous, and I did all the cheesy thing. I make sure that she could see my butt in those jeans a couple of times. Went to the bathroom. It's so funny. And so eventually I go, so what's up? And she's like, yeah, I just want to see you. There's nothing up.
Huh.
And I lost my mind. I'm like, what are you doing to me? Like, and then they told her the story when I first saw her and all that stuff. And,
Yeah.
And I literally, I so got, because when I'm confused, I lose my stuff, right? So as I'm telling you the story, I end up standing at the table. Like, I'm standing up and kind of losing my mind, trying to explain to her what I've been going through the past few months. And I found out she had a boyfriend, but now we're here. But there's no, what? What are you doing? Right? And that should have scared the hell out of her. But she ended up with a big smile on her face. I, hey, what are you smiling about? I fall back in my chair. She's like, I feel the same way you do. I just don't know what to do with it.
Wow.
And in that moment, I'm like, okay, I didn't make it up. This is my girl. She's always going to see, this is my girl. So I go, you know what? I go, you take care of what you have to take care of, next week, next month, next year, but you're my girl. So just you go be you, but you're mine.
Huh.
And 3 weeks later.
2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was
That was a long story.
I'm excited. I like that story though. I really do. How did that help you get to where you are today? When did you start doing the relationship coaching and just really seeing relationships the way you see them?
Well, yeah. I remember life on the road really got me focused with how I wanted a very classic lifestyle, even though I was living a crazy life. Like I was actually really square, and I wanted the house and the kids and the wife. So that was something that came out of the crazy lifestyle. Okay, and this is when I found her, met her, and we did all that. And I opened another business because I wanted to get off the road because, by the time we decided to have kids, I wasn't going to be the guy who's in Europe. Okay. I was going to raise my kids. Like I was going to be here, raise my kids. So I opened a business in Los Angeles to just for that purpose and ground myself. And with that, at one point, like we were married at the time, like 11 years or so. And again, I'm always in the workshop. I'm a workshop guy. Just teach me something. If I don't know, I want to know everything. My mind's like this. I just want to grab everything all the time. I can't help it. Whatever you got, that's interesting. I want it. Okay. Yeah. So I was in a business workshop in Northern California, close to you, San Jose. And for 3 days, business event, fascinating. On the way back, there was a lot of people from LA on that flight. Or on that event, on the way back on the plane, the two people that I'd seen at the event are sitting next to me. What do you do? What do you do? And then she's like, I work for a company and we teach personal development, relationship stuff. And she goes, what are you doing next Saturday? I go, I don't work on the weekend. She goes, you want to come to a workshop? You want to come to a workshop? Of course. I'm just inviting you. It's pretty expensive, but it's like I'm just inviting you as my guest. I'm like, damn, right? So I'm there. Anyway, I get there a week later, Saturday morning. I didn't want to go because it was early by the airport. And on the plane, I said to her, like, so what's the workshop, by the way? Oh, it's called Understanding Women.
Understanding Women? Okay.
Understanding Women workshop. I'm like, okay, that's cute. And again, you have to understand because of my life and the way I live and my opportunity with women, I always have an ease with women. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that I never did the crazy stuff my friends did. I never attracted the girls who was insecure. I never screaming, shouting, all that stuff. I never did that. Like I always attracted very sweet, gentle women. Okay. So my relationship with women was really easy most of the time. It was, so no drama. So I'm thinking, what are you going to teach me about girls? I got it. I thought it was me. Mm-hmm. I thought I knew something, obviously, because look at me, right? So I'm like, okay, it's gonna be cute, and okay, be kind, be sweet, don't yell, blah blah, right? Okay, 2 days of this, okay. When I get there, there was 400 people in the room. I'm like, oh wait, this isn't cute. Like there's something kind of big here, right? And sure enough, they compressed the whole weekend into one day because they were filming. Anyway, by the end of the day, I was on the floor. I realized, and I was actually scared to death because I realized that I knew nothing about women, like nothing. And more scary than that, I knew nothing about my wife. And, we're together 11 years. Everything's great. We're not struggling. I'm not looking for this, but I just realized something that I don't know. And the kids are babies, and I'm not going to, in my whole family, everybody's divorced twice and 3 times, right? Okay. This is my baby girl. Like, this is my angel, right? And I'm not my brain could not, like, the idea of losing her because I don't know how what she's thinking, what she's feeling. She may be in reaction to me without me knowing, like the not knowing what I'm doing to her because I don't know anything scared the life out of me. And so I ended up jumping into the company's program. I did the entire curriculum, of course. And then within a year and a half or so, at the end of the program, all their programs, I became a workshop leader. I ended up teaching this stuff.
Okay.
And that's how it started. So I didn't work for them very long. I didn't really work for them. I was in the spin for, becoming one of their leaders, but a lot of politics. So from there, I jumped out, started my own stuff. But within that, I continued training with a bunch of like big masters. And, John Gray, Esther Perel. I don't know if you know Esther Perel. She's a therapist, French therapist in New York City for 30 years. She's very popular now on YouTube. Okay. John Gray, Mars and Venus, right? There's Shanti Felhans, a lady in the South who teaches love and respect in relationship from the Bible's perspective, but it's amazing. And then Dr. Pat Allen in Los Angeles here, who's been a therapist for 45 years. So I'm not a therapist, but I'm trained by a therapist, and I have all this knowledge of these other masters. I call them 5 masters that sort of make up the cocktail of what I do. So since that first workshop, the machine was on.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about how does it, let's talk about how it works. How does your business work? Someone realizes, to me, and just like you, where you think you know everything, where you felt like you knew women already, I feel like everybody knows, or everybody has struggles in relationships. That's my reality. Maybe for you guys who don't, great, teach me something. So now I'm realizing that things just aren't the way it seems like they should be. My family's divorced. I have no idea how to make a relationship work. How do I get into figuring out what the problem is? What's going on? Is it my problem? Is it his problem? Is it our, where's
Well, it's all of it, right? Because relationships, the thing about relationships is they're so emotionally investing. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to share your life, your time, your downtime with somebody, it's a personal thing, right? So like every relationship you have has a dynamic, right? Like parent teacher, there's always some kind of control at play, right? The parents have the control. Parent child. The parents in control. So what happens is the child's always trying to get away and get around the parents. That's just natural, right? Okay. Teacher, student. The teacher is in control and the students are trying to get away. Employer, employee, right? I have the power. My employees are trying to get around me, like whether screw with their time, screw with my money, steal stuff. You know what I mean? So there's a natural dynamic when people feel having less power, they're always trying to gain power. So in relationship, that power is at play the same way, but we're two different types, men and women. So what you think is important and what you value is different than what I think is important and value, but I want it my way, you want it your way, and now we have a power play. And this is when things come undone. So it's more like, how do you negotiate what you want and need with what he wants and needs, what's right for him, what's right for you, and see how we can get into a flow where we actually truly communicating and negotiating these things. I like this, I don't like this. I love when you do this too much, right? And
so let's back up a little bit. From a family, and again, from my perspective, everybody came from this, where you don't know what that relationship looks like. Mm-hmm. How do you even get to the point of what is it supposed to be like?
It's funny. I find that very funny, and that for some reason people beat themselves up for not knowing how to do this.
Correct.
Everybody. It's funny, but you're a doctor, right?
Yeah.
You had to learn that.
Yes.
So it's like me saying, I feel so inferior to you, Felicia. Like I don't have a degree, I don't have a doctorate, and I just don't know how to heal people. Like you go, well, you're not a doctor, right? Like you have to learn that, right? So people assume that relationships should be normal and natural and flow because this is what everybody's compelled to bond with somebody naturally. That's instinct, right? There's an instinct to bond with people, and that it should be easy and flow. But partly of your background, where you come from, where you believe is good and right, how you want to decide how you want to live, plus the cultural pulse, right? Our culture is like beating us up with equality and men are toxic, and so there's so much like in the pot. It's confusing as hell, and people are like scrambling, and they think they should know and it should be easy, and people say stuff like, well, as long as we love each other. I'm like, right. Absolutely not. That's just 1 out of 3.
That's very Thank you very much for sharing that. That because just because you go to the doctor all the time doesn't mean you can be a doctor. Just because even if you came from a loving family relationship, your mom and dad, you saw everything perfect, doesn't mean you know how. Just because you watch that, you may have a leg up on somebody who didn't get to see it, but doesn't mean you know how. That helps. Thank you so much. That helped me a ton right there.
Oh, nice. But it's reality, right? So take it for what it is. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't get to beat yourself up for not knowing. And
So,
yeah.
That being said, now when you don't know what's wrong with you physically, and or you have something going on, you're like, I hate to say the word wrong, but when something's going on that doesn't feel right.
You have pain somewhere, right? You have pain here. You go to the doctor. Yes.
You have emotional pain because your relationships aren't going well, because you just kind of get to that point of you realize what the issue is. It's this relationship. Now, what about that relationship? Now, that's where someone like you would come in. Where would I find you? Where would we, it's like first step. How do I find somebody like you?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because a lot of people go to therapy, go look for a therapist, a certified therapist. Interesting. I'm telling my opinion on this. Not a big fan of therapists because of the way they're trained, and the way they're trained is lining up with our cultural pulse that, not all of them, of course, but a big majority, because that's the pulse of our culture, that, there's something wrong with the guy. So if there's a problem, he needs to be fixed, right? And that's why men don't go to therapists, because they're told there's something wrong with them, that they should do it her way, because he should be more sensitive, more talkative, more connected, more and more of everything he doesn't want to do naturally. So men, one of the paradigm of all this that I see, the pulse of this, is that it's like, I can't make you wrong for who you are. Do you know what I mean? Like, and people do this across the board. I feel like if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're going to say, there's something wrong with you, like, I can't not make you wrong for who you are and think that you and I are going to work out. But the cultural pulse is something wrong with men, and they need to adjust, they need to be more sensitive, they need to blah, blah, blah. And therapy culture is very driven that way. So that typically it's a catastrophe for couples. They go to therapy, not 100%, but it's way too much in my opinion. They go to therapy trying to help the relationship and end up breaking up, right? A coach, people like me, a coach has a different dimension and different type training, right? Coming from a different background, that's really more, what is it that you want, and what is it that he wants, and what is it that you need to communicate, right? And so when people get in relationships, right, they have chemistry together, right? They're compatible on some level, because you can't really get long distance with somebody you're not compatible, lifestyle, whatever. And then you have to learn to communicate. I call it the 3 C's. Okay. Chemistry, compatibility, communication. Okay. So chemistry is lust. You have to have physically attracted each other. That's nature. You can't do it. Compatibility is a sense of going the same direction again, right? Like wanting the same things sort of out of life, but compatibility often sneaks up on people. And by the time we realize they're not compatible, it's too late. So that hurts, but that's important. And number 3, communication is the part that you have. This is the part where I come in with communication stuff, where how do you negotiate your wants and needs with somebody else that you're emotionally connected and involved with, which means it's highly calibrated energetically, right? It's more personal, you're more aware, you're more sensitive, there's more at stake, like your heart's at stake, right? So there's a lot of energy. So how do you negotiate your wants and needs with the person who, in some level, holds your happiness in his hands, in her hand, right? So without that, that's where the collision happened, because we communicate differently. We take things on, like women tend to read between the lines, and they make up the lines that the guy didn't mean to communicate. That
weren't necessarily there.
Right. So that's a problem, right? That I know what you're doing. I know what you meant. He goes, that's not at all what I meant, but like we assume, right? And that's, again, without that communication, the clear communication, and to really get to the core of what's happening, which people, like I said, we assume way too much about what that meant, what it didn't mean, what it should have been. How can he? I can't believe he. And he's like, I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, I don't know what the hell's wrong with her. Again, like she's, and so that you have to bridge the communication with constantly sort of adjusting to what's coming at you. It's not that hard, but it's tedious in the beginning.
Communication is going to be the hardest. Communication very difficult. I think a lot of people realize that. Chemistry, easy. You either have it or you don't, right?
Yeah.
Compatibility. Now, like you said, that one can sneak up on you. So how do you figure out, is that the soul work, the work you do on your own to figure out where you want to go? or how do you go through that? How do you get that second C?
Okay. Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. Because that's like really because compatibility sounds like it's not a big deal, right? Like either you're compatible, people go sexually compatible, right?
Well,
But it's much more if you're gonna go long term in a relationship, it's like
yes.
compatible on every level.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you one thing that happens a lot, and this is going to sound really old school, but it's not my opinion. It's the data, it's the research, it's the backup, it's everything that we know now. In our culture, part of where things go really awry is you meet somebody, you like somebody, you have chemistry, you're sitting across the table, you have the buzz, you know, they're nice, they're interesting, they make you curious, they like you back. So, you know, they ask you for a second date and, oh, it's a little bit more. And the third date, and oh, we're getting along. So this is typical, you know, Western culture behavior nowadays. It wasn't like this 50 years ago. But so nowadays, after 3 or 4 dates, typically, I like you, you like me, right? So let's get some action going here.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, that idea is that we get along, so intimacy will up what we have going.
Okay.
You with me? Because it does, right? Intimacy sort of like brings you real close. The problem with that is you don't know anybody. It takes 9 months to a year to truly know the person that's sitting across from you.
Okay.
It just does, right? The first 3 months of relationship is all la la land. It's all fun and chemistry. The next 3 months, people start getting real. So like the facades come down, and you know you start acting like you.
Yeah.
And so that's 6 months of getting to know right there. So after 6 months, it's just you're starting to get a sense who that person is. The next 3 months, this is amazingly typical, by the way, and very predictable. The next 6 months, from 6 to 9 months, is when people start saying, you know, I don't like when you do this, and you know, but I really love that, and so you start like adjusting to the things and negotiate some of the terms.
Okay.
And typically from 9 months to 12 months is when you realize that you are in fact compatible, going in the same direction, and that, you know, now you can be built something. So in the so after the 4th season, you really know what's happening with that person. Typically, a lot of people, if you go back, it fits my life perfectly. Is when I was younger, I didn't have anything to offer. 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 9 months is when we go like pull the trigger to like make this serious, you know, serious,
Okay.
like as like making it, stepping into life that way together. And because I had no money and I wasn't able to support anybody, that's what I cut it off. So I had like a bunch of 9 months relationships, because the moment it got to the point where we need to get serious somehow, because this is where we're at, I would change the girl and then start again 3 months. So it's interesting. I didn't know I was doing this when I learned. So the problem with our culture today, or if I'm not saying, I'm not a moralist, I don't care. I'm just saying like how people get in trouble is after a few dates, you don't know this person, you start being intimate thinking that's going to bring you closer. And what happened is the chemistry, right? Oxytocin, dopamine, and all the chemistry that is stirred up and enhanced by sex, the euphoria, the dopamine will actually give both a sense of compatibility that is fake.
Right. Okay.
So people think, oh my God, we finish our sentences and like, you know, we just like, right? They're so like bonded, they're so connected, and you know, it's just a lot of chemistry. And the problem with that is, so then within 3 months, you know, you're perfect, and then you go into 6 months and it's still fun, right? By 9 months, which is when it's time to figure out if it's long term, you realize he drinks too much, or he's always broke, doesn't really want to work, or he realized that you have an alcohol problem, or addiction problem of some kind. Like it takes that long for it to become a deal breaker somewhere. So if it takes 9 months to find out who the person is, but you already all invested, and your heart is your heart and bodies are in it, the 9 month breakup is always a tragedy and an injury to the nervous system of your heart. Are you with me? So
yeah.
I'm saying that over-calibrated feeling of being compatible through sex is where everything goes to hell. So what I see. It's interesting. I know there's layers here. Go ahead.
No, it's really interesting. So now I'm imagining people are going out. It's like, what, am I not supposed to have sex until I've been dating them for 9 months?
No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not what I said, but I understand how you get there. What happened is amazingly simple and amazingly predictable. Are you ready?
Yes.
When you keep your boundaries sexually with a man who wants to get new pants. Now, the reason why men want sex, people say, that men only want to have sex. Well, yeah, because our bodies, we get to our emotions through our bodies.
Okay.
We get to our hearts through our bodies.
Okay.
So we're always stuck here, right? But when with a woman, we get down into our hearts. Some women have figured this out and they go, I know when to talk to him now. After sex, he's right there, right available. He'll tell me anything because he's down in his heart.
Okay.
Right? So men are looking for ways to get out of their heads because it's kind of torturous to be in your head all the time. And sex brings us into our hearts, into feeling something. So men are always trying to, like, that's the pulse. There's also your body's chemistry, right?
Okay.
So most men, normal women, most women need to feel connected to have sex. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Men connect to their heart with sex. So,
okay.
Right? So that's the pulse, right?
Yep. Money with Mission is a real estate and business investment company that specializes in finding projects that have the potential to give you a great return on your investment dollar and make an impact in the communities where we invest. Make a difference in your life and the lives of others. Go to moneywithmission.com to learn more.
So if you, when he says, it's been 4 dates, you want to go upstairs, you want to, right? Mm-hmm. You could actually acknowledge that beautifully and say, wow, I feel it. I feel it. Yeah, I like you too. I like you too, right? This be appealing. However, I don't really know where this is going. I don't really know what the plans are for us, if it's going to go anywhere. I don't know what your plans are for me. So I don't have casual sex, until I know where this is going a little bit. Like, that's my heart, that's my life. Like, I don't need to get caught up in what if, or not knowing.
Yeah.
And a good guy will totally respect that. Now, if the guy just want to have sex, he walks away. Good for you. If you want a relationship, if you want to have sex, I don't care, right? That's not what we're talking about. Right. If you want to build something with a guy, you hold your boundary. That's nature, by the way. In nature, that's how, masculine and feminine does it, or male and female do it. Like, he's trying and she sits. No. Okay. She holds the boundary, right? She's the gatekeeper. What happened in that, when you respectfully say, I want you to, I think you're amazing, I really feel it. However, I need to know where this is going first. I can't give my heart away and my body away without some kind of sense of where we're going. So that, for a good guy, makes you more valuable. One interesting fact is, when you have sex with a man before he really gets to know you, listen to this. This is knocking on your butt. When you have sex with a man before he really gets to know you, right, his emotional investment in you stops in that moment. So that means if you've known him for a week, right, which he doesn't know you very much except that he likes you, and you have sex with him, he's not going to like you any more than that, ever. Like, his emotional investment in you stopped with the act. And it becomes the guy who comes around and has fun with you, but is not really into you. You don't know why, because it was so good in the beginning. He cannot get, you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. What happened is you block his emotional investment in you with penis.
So with having that conversation of, we're on date number 3 and everybody's hot and heavy, and pause, have that conversation, and then, everything's calmed down. Now a few more dates go by. Yep. And now even if it is just a month or 2 months.
Yep.
Are you at that point now where you know that he is interested in?
Right. Because he keeps coming back.
Guys, we're talking whatever gender is your gender. I'm assuming those, whatever the relationships are.
Yes. The energy dynamic that works is always that.
Okay. So it's an energy dynamic. Got it. Yes. That's a perfect way to put that. So now we're at 2 months. And we're both in the same space of, we want to see where this is going to go long term.
Yes.
We're at the point where we can be physically intimate.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is the psychology of man. And again, it's just a mechanism. We're not really aware of it till you learn. You go, oh yeah, that works that way. Men commit by making deals.
Okay.
Contracts. That's a man's brain, right? For a woman, it's how he feels. Right? So you commit to how it feels. Feels good. I want it, right? Like, for guys, there's a making a deal with himself, making a deal with somebody that makes it official. So what works best, this is if you want to build something with a man, this works best. If you're a woman and you want a classic relationship, is that you're the gatekeeper. As he keeps trying to get into the gate, you go, I like you too, however, until, right? And what happens is women think that's going to make him mad or devalue you, right? For a good guy, it's the exact opposite. He actually respects that and actually appreciates your boundaries, right? And at some level, the limbic brain recognizes you as someone he could trust to not sleep with anybody. Like, that's just nature again. right? As he trusts you, he likes you, actually, you go up in status for him. And after the third time he tries to have sex because he's trying to connect with his body, and you go, I need to know, blah, blah, blah. He goes, okay. And they stop pushing because now they respect you and they respect that boundary. And now they're trying to get to know you. Now you're more interesting. Now they're, right? So typically, if you see a guy about once a week, right, that you live in the same city and you're dating, if you have access to each other once a week or so, it takes typically about 3 months, a little bit less sometimes, for him to go, this girl is something. And now that he gets to like you as a person, he's not been in your body, the chemistry isn't over the top to run him over. He can think for himself, and so can you, right? But you've had, by the way, it's not like you're not having any in that whole time, because you're hot and heavy right away, right, within a few weeks.
Right.
It's not like you sit there, you sit on your hands the whole time, right? Okay. You can do everything that you want with him, except his penis in, I call it, you have 3 holes. Figure it out.
Okay.
3 holes.
In none of those, or
none of those. You could do everything else.
Okay.
Now, in that's when you do this, there's a contract there. He's had you, and you've been had.
Okay.
Right. Oral sex is into the body. It is, it's into the body, right?
I got you.
You get it?
Yeah.
So there's a contract in that. So people make the mistake. That's not sex. It's completely sex. It is enter the body. Right. So you could do everything but that. It's very simple. You could roll around naked. You could lick anything you want. Right. You could grab on, jack, pull, whatever, roll, like all of that. Kiss, love, slobber, whatever. Usually in 3 months or so, this comes like slowly. So that's enough for him to be your sensual, sexual being comes out. You get to be together. You get chemistry like it's fantastic, except you don't do that.
Right.
So now he's attached to you. He likes you. He's having sex because you could just give him, you can release him as long as you don't leave him with blue balls. He just had sex, right? But you haven't been had, and he hasn't had you. There's still a boundary, a clear boundary. You with me?
Yep.
And you'll respect that, and you get to play together. And eventually, this is so predictable. This is so predictable. Within about 3 months, he likes you. His heart's now invested in you. He likes you as a person. You get along. You have chemistry. You have compatibility, right? He's having some kind of sex, which is perfect for him because it brings him out of his head and it pulls him towards you and is attract, right? All the goodies that he wants. And they all do the same thing one way or the other. They go, I want you to be my girlfriend. He's compelled to pull you off the market. He's compelled to pull you off the market. I want you to be my girlfriend. That's a contract. That's a commitment. You with me? That means I like you for you. I get to know you. I like you. And then you can cross the line. Because now you're not just having sex, you're actually making love, because there's a guy who's actually into you. And that whole thing is a different experience the first time. And now that bond is something you can build on. So it's not 9 months. It's about 3 months. Till he says, be my girlfriend.
Okay. In that time, are you still dating? Is he still dating? Is he having sex with somebody else? Are you having sex? What's the? Well,
that's why the boundary as well, right? That's why the boundary. So assume, women hate to hear this, right? For most of you ladies, the moment you're dating a guy one time and you like him, everybody else is off. Everyone else is off. You with me?
Yep.
Typically.
Yep.
Right. So that's a human instinct for women. Like, oh, I think he's the one, or he could be the one, or I like this one. So, and just going on a date with some other guy would feel like you're cheating.
Yes.
We don't. That's not how we are. Men typically have 2 or 3 women they see on a regular basis.
Okay.
Looking for the one, if that's what he's looking for. Some guys don't look for anything, and if you keep playing fake girlfriend and keep having sex with him, he's going to come around once a week and be doing that with you and the other 2 or 3. Assume that men are dating multiple women is what I'm telling you. That is normal, right?
That's why I wanted you to say it one more time.
Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? Unless you're sleeping with him. Mm-hmm. Right? So this is another way why you don't do this, because what's happening is he's sleeping with 3 other women and you're like, I don't know where this is going, and I'm not that girl. I just promised to myself that I was going to hold that boundary for me. Wow. Right. And what happens often is you can't believe, there's something super attractive about this, because he could trust your boundaries as a person. And he actually also, what's interesting with men, the hook is now he has to prove to you that he's a good guy. He has to prove to you that he's trustworthy. He has to prove to you that he's, got his life together. He has to prove to you he's going to try to impress you and show off that, you should really look how good I am. Look at, the more he likes you, the more he wants you to like him. And then that creates this pattern of him earning your trust. And only when he earns your trust, because he had put the action, that he gets hooked onto you. So the other girls he could date to have sex with, but he's not hooked on them. He's just playing. You become a different dynamic. And so never met a girl like you, never felt like this before.
So can you then assume, which we already talked about assumptions, that if you hold that boundary and that guy keeps coming around, he is a potential long-term mate. If he's that guy and you hold that boundary and he's gone, good thing you learned that quick.
Exactly. Because this as a woman, right? The moment you get intimate with somebody, you lose yourself, right? Now, oxytocin through the body, and now you think about him. If the guy's a douchebag, he's no good, he has no job, but then who is it? You want to call him, you want to shut him. The moment you cross that line, you become emotionally connected to him. And all of a sudden you get obsessed with where is he? Is he coming back? When do I see him again? You lose yourself, you lose your mind. Even if you know that he's a bad guy, your body can't help it, right? That's what's dangerous for women. You have sex, you think you can just have sex and have fun. No, it just you get caught up. Give this. Talk about this is nature, right? After intercourse, a woman's oxytocin, the bonding hormone, goes through the roof. Okay. And this is why you get obsessed with him and you wait for him. Estrogen will keep that thing going for 3 weeks or so. 3 weeks. Right? For a guy, testosterone kills oxytocin, so he feels good for about a day and a half and he's thinking about you, but it kills it. For you, it gets enhanced. Chemistry. After 3 weeks of being obsessed with him, and you don't know why, but you have sex with him, this is why. The chemistry is up to the roof. When your oxytocin comes back down, if you don't sleep with him again, because every time you sleep with him, you'll re-trigger that machine, and that's what women get in a bad relationship for years, because they keep sleeping with the freaking guy. Right? Anyway, so if you manage to stay away from him after 3 weeks, when your oxytocin level comes down, you get your brain back, and you go, what the hell was I thinking? This guy's a complete loser, right? But get this, nature. 3 weeks of oxytocin in your body, it's exactly how long it takes for you to know if you're pregnant.
Yeah.
So it's a natural mechanism in nature. Cave woman 2 million years ago, when she had sex with a man, she had to stick to the guy in case she got pregnant. Because she got pregnant, he would have to take care of her because she's vulnerable. Both the moment she grows, she can't waddle, right? Like she needs somebody to protect her, because being pregnant is a death sentence back then if nobody's protecting you. You see it?
Yeah.
Nature.
Yeah.
So we think we're better than that, and we forget that our bodies are ancient in, how they respond and why. And so that's a big bulk of my work, is dismantling all these things that we don't understand that seem so stupid or irrelevant, and the hook. So
we spent a lot of time talking about the getting into the relationship.
Yeah.
You're already in one.
Yeah.
And you and I spent a lot of time talking about how you talk to each other and how you actually communicate with the guy so he understands you. I'm still working hard on it.
Yeah.
Let's talk to some of the women and even men. Let's even talk about how men talk to women so that we hear you and understand you.
Because there's so many layers here, and that's part of the work that I do, and I teach, learning. Because what happens is, again, two different machines, right? Testosterone-driven machine, estrogen-driven machine, right? And we forget in our culture, again, if you go with the pulse that's not helping, is the idea of equality. We're equal, right? Now, equal rights, equal pay, equal opportunity, equal importance as human beings, yes.
Yeah.
But this thing kind of bled into the idea that we're equal beings, that you should like what you like. You should be more like you, and you should be more like him. So empower women to be masculine, and disempower men, masculinity, to be more sensitive. Equality, right?
I hear you.
However, that's just an illusion, because testosterone-driven, estrogen-driven wants different that you want, and motivated by different things that you are. Like what works for him doesn't work for you. And when you think it's exciting, you think it's boring. When he thinks exciting, you think it's ridiculous, right? So we have all these completely different machines, and then we're trying to say, no, we're equal, but it's not true. What you want to do is like two ballroom dancers, like right behind me. Right? Where the ballroom dancers are two different entities, completely opposite, come together to create a new entity called the couple and learn to dance together. That's a relationship. It's not you like me, like this. Dancers are not the same, they're exact opposite, right? Men and women are built to be exact opposition in every way on purpose, but made to fit. I say, just look down at your genitals. Equals? No. exact opposite made to fit. That's the point. Now, everything about us is that way. Men and women are in exact opposition made to fit. He's going to be your rock if he's a normal guy, right? And he's going to want to take care of you. And as he takes care of you, you get to relax to be feminine and able to support the things that he values in life. And as he feels supported by you, he's going to want to support you more. But it's two different machines. It's two different machines. We need opposite. We need different things from each other. And when you get the groove, what I'm naturally wanting to provide and what you naturally want to provide is made to fit.
Yeah.
But we decided that that's old school and doesn't work anymore. Sorry, it's not gone anywhere. It still works the same. But we lost the ability to embrace that, and we forced this idea of equality that actually is destroying everything, because you can't, you can't come in together that way.
So, okay, let's say you see that. You're like, okay, we've been trying it that way for a long time and that's not working.
Yeah.
And I'm about ready to be done with this right now.
Yep.
But I don't want to, because I love this guy and this guy loves me. And why can't we get this together?
Yep.
Now what?
You find me. Well, because literally you have to understand, like I call it gender intelligence.
Okay.
And people always get triggered when I say this. Gender intelligence, like I'm gonna, like, because apparently now there's no more gender, or like, there's 72 genders. Like, okay, well, how's that gonna help, right? No. Right? Go like in nature. There's a boy and a girl lion, and they make baby lions, right? Like there's no 72 genders. There's two genders. That's again nature, right? Mm-hmm. Old school, like it or not, right? So it's different that's what's between your ears, but our bodies are this way. Because again, we communicate different, want things differently. Gender intelligence is, I call it crossing the bridge. If you're a man and you want to be in a relationship, a healthy relationship, loving relationship with a woman, you got to cross the bridge into a woman world and go find out why women do what they do, what motivates them, why they seem to take things so personally. Like why, they say stuff like, I need so very little. How come you can't give that to me? Like, what the hell does that mean? Because guys don't get that, right? Like, if you're a man and want to be in a healthy relationship with a woman, cross the bridge, go learn something about women and understand what motivates them and why. And again, there's instinct in that. There's, there's chemistry in that. There's reactive. There's hormones, blah, right? It's fantastic. But you have to go find out. Otherwise, you're just a douchebag who wants it his way and you don't understand anything. And guys say, I don't know, she's crazy again today. I don't know what's wrong with her. Like, well, no, how's that going to help you, right? Cross the bridge, gender intelligence, go find out what a woman needs and why. As a woman, exact same responsibility. I just saw you catch your breath.
That is like, because I don't understand. I just need so little. I don't understand why you don't understand that. That's just like so.
Well, because one thing about men, get this, gender intelligence here, right? As a woman, if you're going to want to be in a relationship with a man and not get your feelings hurt so much and understand what the hell he's doing and why did he say that? I can't believe he said that, right? Assume that he meant, right? Find out, right? So one of the things when you go into the man world and find out what motivates them, why they do what they do, why they say what they say, why they seem to be aloof or disconnected or cold or just, there's an operating system there that's instinctive, that there's a reason, a very good reason, for the same reason why women are overly connected sometimes, and right? Okay. But one of the things about men is, get this, men quantify everything.
Okay.
Right? So to a guy, a little bit of action, a little bit of reward, a little bit of work, a little bit of money. A lot of work, a lot of money.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Quantify, everything is quantifiable. We always want bigger, better, like we lust for things to go, for the next one, It's the nature of a natural male. So when you say, I need so little, I don't even know what that is. Like, it's not quantifiable. It leaves me completely blank. Like, what do you mean you need so little? Why don't you talk to me? I want you to talk to me. He goes, but like, what does that do? Yeah, okay. Right? So again, when you understand, like for most guys, they if they feel like they're neglecting their girl, right? Like, damn it, I've been too busy. I've kind of neglected my girl. So he goes, I'm going to surprise her tonight. So he comes home or to a date or whatever with like, assuming you're together, right? He comes home with like 3 dozen roses.
Okay.
Ta-da! Like his big gesture. Like I, feel bad and I've been neglecting her. So now he's thinking 3 dozen roses, right? That's 48 points. Right? Is that 48? Yeah. 3 dozen is what? Is that it? Do I know how to count?
Whatever. A lot, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like 72 roses, 70 points. Right? Look, babe, I miss you so. I'm so sorry. Boom. And he's thinking, that's a lot of point. 1 point.
Yeah.
You can come home with 1 rose. It was the same reaction.
Right.
1 point.
Yeah.
that's the, like, I need so little that we don't understand. It has to be big for us to mean something. So when I teach men, get this, you come home and she's, not really available, or she seems to be, not really happy with you or whatever. I go, try this. Grab your phone, midday, 2:00 or so. You go, thinking about you. Can't wait to see you tonight. Kiss, kiss.
Done.
Done, right? Comes home and she's at the door.
Yeah.
Throws herself around his neck, right?
Yep.
And they go, wow, how does that work? You're so stupid. It costs nothing. It takes 10 minutes, 10 seconds. They go, I know. That's the small thing that you're looking for. To think about her, to tell her you're thinking about her when you're not in her presence. The woman is the ultimate gift.
Yeah.
Because you think women, that when he's not with you, he's flirting with somebody else, he's talking to somebody else, he might be, thinking of fooling around. So you're always searching and kind of inquiring mind will sort of send you down the bunny hole sometimes with absolutely zero reason. But guys, you've had other boyfriends, things went wrong, you've been, right? So history will sort of grind you that way and kind of keep playing games with you. But so to a guy, he doesn't know this. I was at work all day. Where's she got to be mad about, right? Well, in that there's a disconnect and things creep in her mind, and she feels like maybe you don't care. Mm-hmm. So a little text for no reason, poof, instant connection. She feels all giggly, and I got this. Guess what he just said, right? Anyway, so okay, so you have to teach this to men, right? So again, a smart man will learn these things in order to be able to give a woman, his girl, the things that work for her, and a smart woman will learn, why he does the thing that he does. By the way, the moment women's fantastic. When a woman learns why men do what they do, 50% of everything you take personally goes away, because then you realize that's nothing to do with you. He's just a dude.
Yeah.
Just that freedom right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what you do. So you want to learn what's going on, and then this is cross the bridge both ways. And when you have some knowledge, right, you'll feel confident that you understand more, and then you can meet in the middle of the bridge and start dancing, right? And dancing in the beginning, dance couples, right, ballroom couples. In the beginning, it's a little clunky, it's awkward. You don't know how to put the hands, and you step on each other's toes. And I could tell you, as I was training when I was younger, you get the elbow in the face or the knee to the groin, because it's clunky, right? You don't know how to come in sync and communicate body to body, right? It's the same thing. So you go learn some stuff, get on the bridge in the middle, and start practicing your communication. Start practicing the language. Start practicing how to respectfully ask for your wants and needs, and see what happens. And then get into this dynamic in sync that you can become a beautiful, flowy couple, because as you practice, you become better. And all of a sudden, what works for him, works for her. You know what to say, what not to say. You know what to avoid. You know where the pitfalls are. That's touchy for him. That's touchy for dance.
And even if you step on each other's toes once in a while, you can get it back. Because, that was an accident. So you said a couple times a normal man. If he's a normal guy, if it's a normal, and then is the way to know that he or she is not normal, that they don't react. If you feel like you're doing the things that, say, I've had my lessons with Andre, the way he told me to do it, and it's just I'm not getting the reactions that I'm supposed to get. Right. Is that the way to know that, or how do you know that you don't have a normal person, quote unquote normal person?
Right. In my world, there's 3 types of males. So there's one to completely avoid, and the other 2 you could totally work with. Okay. Right. So these 2 will act and react like men do. This last one won't. Okay. So when I say normal, I'm talking about these 2, because that one is pointless. So often women, you think it's got a penis, that's a man. No, having a penis does not make a man. Okay. Like having a vagina doesn't necessarily mean you have a woman in front of you, right?
Correct, yes.
Right? Energetically, the energy is off. Like she's too masculine or he's too feminine. So the feminine man will not react like man. But he has a penis, so you don't know that. You think he's a man, right? So what happened often, and here goes a little bit more cultural pulse that I teach, that is I'm often misunderstood when I say this, like it's too square, it's too restrictive, it's too stereotypical, but it's not it. It's just what works. Again, nature wants that. If you go with I call it you go with the flow of your nature as a male and as a woman. Again, we know we function different, we're wired different, you know what I mean? So you could go against your nature, you go with it. And I'm telling you, if you go with the nature of your bodies, right, it's a lot easier. Like you're not swimming against the current. You can swim against the current, but it's going to cost you. And it's confusing as hell eventually and whatever. So That to say, the men who are what I call boys do not act like men, respond like men, and act, so that's what I mean, like normal,
Okay.
right? Like you have to know. And the good news about this is that the three types are very easy to spot by the words that they say. They reveal themselves instantly. In one date, you could figure out what you have in front of you. And if you go, okay, no, I know this isn't going to go anywhere. He's going to try to take advantage of me. He's a boy. He's going to want you to do the work. He's going to want you to pay for stuff. You can't, so the stuff that I do with my clients is really that first.
Okay.
Whoever, to discern really quickly, one date, if the guy in front of you is a man, a guy, or a boy. If it's a man or a guy, yes, there's two different machines here as well, but there's different tools to bring him around to be able to dance with you. The boys, you have to walk away.
Okay.
Quickly. So women who are overcalibrated in their masculine, again, this is when people say, like, what are you pulling those stereotypes? Women that are overcalibrated in their masculine naturally, right? It's like two magnets. Positive magnet attracts negative, and the more polarized they are, the more they snap together, right? So if a woman is very masculine, again, without any thinking, she will attract very feminine men.
Okay.
All my clients have this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the men don't step up. How can they where are the good guys? They're all losers. They want me to work. They don't take care of anything. They want to smoke pot and spoon the dog all day. I got 2 jobs going and I'm paying for his car. And right, like masculine women end up being masculine paradigm and attracting. And then what happened is if you're not realizing
masculine woman, so we don't just
right. Well,
that.
Masculine woman would be, someone who's in charge of her life and in charge of everything in her life, and often is more comfortable with that way that she would be being vulnerable and let somebody else help or let go.
So it's more energy, guys,
it's always energy, right? Again, it could be
that kind of thing. We're
right. You could be two male. Like I do the same thing when I deal with gay couples, right? It's not what's between your legs; it's who is which energy, because we need polarity for it to work.
Yeah.
And again, this is also where equality kills a relationship. It's not what's between your legs, it's which energy you bring. And interestingly, gay couples that are versatile, they go back and forth. Like 1 second he's masculine, next second he wants to be feminine. The other one does the same thing. One day he's assertive, the next day he's passive, right? Now, those are complicated because they keep switching, but they just have to signal each other.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of awareness and a lot of knowing, but when then it works because they keep the polarity going. Like, I don't want to do this today. I want you to take it. Oh, okay, I got it. And then sometimes you have to negotiate because nobody wants to do anything and both want to do something, right? So you understand? So it's not what's between your legs, but a classic male will want to take charge of things more, a classic male, and a classic woman will want to let go of stuff and let him help and handle some stuff so she could be more comfortable and relaxed and like kind of ease into her body, which brings her back to her feminine center core, which again is the base of her body, right? Like the feminine being gets to be, and it's actually good for you. It feels better for you. You're more comfortable with that. And so is he. Okay. I don't see that as being a big problem. But if you go with equality 50-50, you neutralize that. And often 50-50 couples, because the polarity is reduced, they logistically work, but emotionally fall apart.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So we're back to culture, and our culture has, to me, and you correct me, has brought women to that more masculine energy.
Yeah.
You can take care of yourself. You don't really need a guy to raise your children. You don't need.
Go girl.
There's all these different things. Bring them the bacon fried up in the pan, and never let the whole. Remember that commercial?
Uh-huh.
So getting back into our feminine energy.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me. We can get into my own personal thing. We won't go there. We'll go later.
We could do that again.
Round 2. Things I've learned too about this whole thing is that having children and bearing children and raising children is much more of a masculine energy than I ever thought it was. That's after talking to you, I understood that, which would seem why it would make relationships a little more strained around that time if everybody doesn't understand that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mothering is protecting, providing. That's masculine. So often when women have babies, they become, mama bear. Yeah. Mama bear is masculine, provide, protect the children. But if he was papa bear until the children were born, now we have 2 bears in the house who want to provide, protect. And we call that like dual parenting, but in a way where they're both think they're responsible for providing, protecting, and that creates a collision for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he thinks he's in charge, but she's in charge all day. So he's going to come home and tell her how to do the kid. No. Right. And so that changes the dynamic, and it's just interesting. Like as long as you know that, you could spot it and you could go pull back and negotiate it. you know?
But there's nobody to teach you that. Just back to where we started at the beginning. We don't know this.
Right.
So if you guys are sitting out thinking this relationship thing is really complicated, it is. Just like medicine is complicated, and it's not. So
right.
We have to go to experts to understand and to learn and to have the best relationships. And the way our world, to me, is going to be better is that relationships work. Whoever your person is, whatever your relationship is with, it has to work. Working with someone like Andre can help you understand your relationship dynamics, help you be able to make that a much, much better thing in your life, which would just improve your life overall. That's how I see that. Any last words, Andre?
Well, you know, it's also learning the tools, right? The communication tools you have to, and what we typically do is funny, right? What we typically do is there's something I call man language, right? If you're going to negotiate stuff with men, you have to speak the language. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself going, I don't understand that he's not understanding this.
Yes.
I speak English. I'm looking in his face, right? Like he can hear me the same way he doesn't understand, and he's so little.
Yeah.
Right? Like until somebody explains that to you, he can't see it. He's going to keep doing what he does. That should work because that's how his brain is, right? So the language that women don't understand, there's a man language that unless you learn the man language, he can't hear you. You're not going in. It's like if you're going to go to France and go to a fancy restaurant and have this fancy, amazing French dinner, you're going to want to order in French. But what we do is we order in English louder. Thinking they're going to learn, right? So seriously, that's what Americans do. They go to a different country, they speak English louder.
Yes.
It's not working. Well, that's what women do with men a lot. They don't understand. So now they go louder, insist, nag, push. It doesn't work. That's not that. You have to learn how to speak man. And that's super specific because it comes with the paradigm of respect that loud doesn't have. Loud is disrespectful. Pushy is respectful. Mothering is disrespectful. So you could, again, the same way you don't understand quantifying for him, you don't understand speaking to him in the way that he responds until you learn man language. That's huge. That is huge. And when you get that, all of a sudden he can hear you.
Yep.
He can hear you clearly, and he goes, really? So, and then he can adjust. He will adjust. A guy who cares for you, that's another way we'll find out who you're dealing with very quickly. A guy who cares for you will naturally want to adjust his behavior to make you happy. That's instinct. You don't have to manipulate that, but you have to know how to do that in his language so that he hears that and goes, oh, that's it? Like this? Babe, like this? Is this better? Right? And they want to show off for you. When they care for you, they want to show off for you. It's instinctual. So you don't have to manipulate man. You just have to know how to talk to them. Man language. You have to learn man. That's a big one.
Okay, ladies.
Woo.
Gentlemen, Andre's connection information is going to be in the show notes. Andre's giving away a free exploratory call.
Yeah.
And so the information will be in the show notes. You get on there, sign up, talk to him. Like a doctor, he'll probably diagnose you fairly quickly, which may frustrated me, but that's okay.
Why was that frustrating? I don't understand.
Because it seems so complicated.
It's not.
But to a professional, to somebody who does it every day, it is not difficult. He can talk to us fairly quickly and understand exactly what the problem is. But the beauty of that is now he can teach you how to fix the problem.
There you go.
Which is what we're looking for. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Until next time, give your money a mission, put it out in the world to help you and everyone else. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the interview and are inspired to give your money a mission. Until next time, send your investment dollars into the world to bring you a financial return and improve the lives of others.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can make a great return while positively impacting the lives of others. To learn more about today's guests or to download 7 steps to building resilient wealth for women, visit www.moneywithmission.com.